a day in the life inside the blue team. Right, it's pretty cool, right? Like, as we all know, cybersecurity is about this cat and mouse game. The bad guys out there, the good guys out there trying to like overtake one another, right? And then of course, that's where it gets exciting. So he will tell us a bit more about this experience in the blue team. Right, there might be certain elements of hands-on, if I'm not mistaken, right, Hazwan?
Yeah, so if you go to the Discord, there's a link for a VM you can download to join along.
Yep.
Or you can play around with the VM after the talk, okay?
Yeah, so as we are waiting, let's give everyone some time. There is a link on Discord. I call it once again. In case you want the hands-on experience, right, you have your laptops with you, that's great. Go to the Discord for this talk, right, and you can definitely download the VM, that's what Hazwan has shared. Also, as we go along the sessions, if you have any questions, I'm sure you have, right, it's an amazing topic. If you have any questions, right, post that in the Slido channel, right, we will take the questions right after the talk. So without further ado, it's 12 on the dot right now. I'm not going to steal the thunder again from Hazwan. So ladies and gentlemen, please put together our hands to welcome Hazwan for next topic. A day in the life of cybersecurity.
Okay, can anyone hear me? Sorry, I'm wearing a mask because I have an itchy throat. So just for everyone's safety, I'm wearing a mask. So my name is Hazwan. Currently, I'm working as a senior cybersecurity researcher with Custodio Technologies. So it's a local company. The purpose of this talk is essentially to remove the mysticism of cybersecurity. Okay? A lot of people think that they need to know a lot of things, right, from A to Z before they can jump over. I'm trying to hopefully today show to you that this is not true. There's so many roles, there's so many domains to be filled, and it's just about finding what interests you, right, and then you jump in. All right? So let's begin. So what is cybersecurity? Oops, sorry. So in cybersecurity, right, it's not just one kind of job. It's not just pen testers. It's not just malware analysts, reverse engineers. It's not only about SOC analysts. There's a whole lot of people working together, all right, doing their best in the different domains. So generally, right, we hear things like red team, blue team, all right, this is from the military. But there's actually a few other colors that's come out today. So you have yellow team, who are actually the coders, the engineers. You have the orange team, your secure coders, people who go through your code, making sure you don't do silly things like leaving your encryption key up in GitHub. All right? There's DevSecOps people, if you're around, DevSecOps. Okay? People doing CI/CD. These are your orange team. There's the green team, basically the backbone of everybody. The people who go out, all right, design, put in things like security measures, like your firewall rules, your detection rules, all of these people. And then you have me, blue team, right? I sit there, right, wait for an alert to come in, and I do investigation, right? Easy job, right? Easy peasy, okay? And then there's red team, right? I'm sure you all heard pen tester, bug bounty, things like that. And then there's purple team. So what is purple team, right? So in my day-to-day job, I basically do blue team and purple team. So what happened is that I have colleagues who are on the red team side. They'll run scenarios, and then my job is to catch them, right? So every day we're doing this. They create scenarios, my job is to catch them. They do scenarios, I run and catch them. So that's what purple team is all about. Okay, so we talk about the primary colors. We've got the blue, the defenders. All right, so we deploy, maintain capabilities, monitor the environments, investigate events, respond to incidents. All right, all the good stuff, all the, basically you sit down, you wait for ticket all right? You have the red team, the breakers. You test for vulnerability, you find potential security issues, you provide security recommendation. Remember, red teamers, if you're red teamers out there, you don't just tell me you found a vulnerability. You're supposed to give me recommendation. If not, I don't know how to patch. Okay? And then you have the white team, the administrators. Okay, the people right in the middle. The people who pay you to do what you do. Okay? They get a lot of bad rap, but they're very, very important because they set the direction. They are the ones who ensure compliance. If you have a very bad white team, your boss don't care, chobola no, don't care, anything goes. That's it, good luck to you. Okay, so you need a very good core, which is the white team. So if your CEO says, yeah, we need to be secure, then you've got a good white team, all right? So the security triangles, these are just certain things that you keep hearing over and over again, right? So for example, you have CIA, confidentiality, integrity, availability. We just finished a talk on crypto, right? Talk about how crypto ensures confidentiality and integrity, right? So in security, the whole purpose is that we are trying to ensure this triangle exists. Ensure that data is kept confident, the integrity of the data is kept, and when the data needs to be get at, it's available. But there's another triangle which a lot of people forget about, right? Which is the security, functionality, and usability. A lot of people like to think purely on CIA. But when you look from a bigger point of view, right, the CIA triangle becomes just this small little point. You know why? Because at the end of the day, your customer needs to do their job, right? You agree with me? So if I ban you or I block you from doing certain things that you need to do your job, you're going to hate me, right? How many of you curse and swear at your system administrator every day at work? But they're doing their job, you know, right? So there's a fine balance that needs to be held, right? So most of us think, oh, sysadmin, SOC team, this is what they're doing, right? Basically, no, you're not going to be able to do anything. You need to jump a lot of hoops to do things. But I'm sure this is what's going to happen in the long run. I always use this GIF. You all have seen this GIF in all my previous talks, right? You put in a policy, okay, you put in password policy, gets restriction, more restricted, more restricted. All right, user, okay lah, fine lah, I'll live with it, I'll do it. Okay, you put access control. How many using Intune, MDM, MAM, right? Okay, get smaller and smaller and smaller. Then you put DLP some more. Wow, want to send email, cannot bounce back, cannot send email. Right? And then you put all of these controls. You know what the user going to do? They're just going to find a hole and just bypass. And that's what we don't want as security professionals. Okay? So security must be invisible to the end user. Okay? So as security professionals, or if you're going to join us as in security professionals, remember, we must be invisible. Okay? To the end user while still providing adequate protection. All right? So that is our mandate, basically. Okay? So let's talk about the roles that I'm going to talk about today. So the VM that I provided, we'll do a bit of hands-on covering the kind of skill sets or the kind of day-to-day job that they're doing. You have security analysts, you have network analysts, you have malware analysts or reverse engineers, right? You got forensic investigator, which is where I fall under, and then you have security researchers, which I also fall under that, all right? So let me jump over into the VM. I think I am inside the VM. Wait a minute. Let me exit out from my presentation. Huzzah. So let's talk about the challenges. So if you open, you'll see there's challenges. All right? So challenge one, let's think about security analysts. All right? So we normally don't go in blind. Hopefully you don't go in blind. So usually we'll have certain things like this. We'll have intel or first information report or ticket information, right? You don't go in blind. So there's a threat actor against your organization. And the threat actor makes use of malicious documents to gain access to the system, right? Phishing, malicious doc, right? We call them maldocs, right? So as a security analyst, right, you'll usually get a ticket. And then usually you get logs to work with. So let's open up and take a look at what the logs look like. So I'm going to open up this EVTX file, which is basically the list of logs. So how many events do I have to work with? 46,451. Brilliant. Small number, no problem. Easy. Okay? So as a security analyst, right, what is the first thing I'm going to do? Based on the information given to me. So I'm going to open this question to the floor. You know it's a malicious document, right? Your first thought would be, someone has to open the document, right? So what would you search for inside of these logs? Any keywords? Any guess? What's the most common thing you use to open document? Wow, winword.exe, brilliant. So what we're going to do is, we're going to find, so I'm going to actually filter first. So what we're going to do is that at the start, right, we can already lower the kind of event ID. So as you join and you learn to events. Okay, so in my case, I'm going to look at 4688, which means process creation, means something started in the computer, right? So if you're using Sysmon, this will be Sysmon 1, right? Sysmon event 1, we call it Sysmon event 1. You click OK. So basically, I just want to filter and make it lesser, which is not much. It's still 46,000 events. Okay, right? Oh, sorry, it's only 491, brilliant. So I'm going to click Find. I'm going to click WinWord, right? WinWord, I'm going to click Find. Let's see what you can find. Anything brilliant, straight away I find this event, right? So as an analyst, right? All right, Jules, I think this one your bread and butter lah. You see the dash equal, you know what's going on. Yes. Can I zoom in? That's a very good question. Will Microsoft let me zoom in? That is the question. Oh yes, Microsoft allows me to zoom in. Oh yes, brilliant. Okay. So, what do you see here? Straight off, you see weird things like bypass. You see exec. Okay, you got encoding. But most interestingly, you have WinWord calling PowerShell. WinWord has no reason to be calling PowerShell. PowerShell is a command line tool. So as an analyst, straight away I see this. Oh, Jose Liao found the issue, right? You can see WinWord, PowerShell. Copy this, go to GCHQ, CyberChef, plug it in, auto decode for you. Brilliant. No need to think so much. Okay? It'll give you the answer. So this is the kind of job as a security analyst will do. And after that, they'll hunt down, okay, what exactly was the document that was open? Right? Things like that. So let's see if I can find what was the document that was open. Okay? No. And here we find the name of the document. Right? So it was a document inside downloads, ipnet.doc. Most importantly, is you can see that it is explorer.exe. What does this tell you? It's an explorer process, right? So that means the user knowingly clicked the thing. So you can go and scold the person lah. Why you go and click this? You know malicious, right? Got pop-up, right? Why you still click? Okay? So that's what a security analyst do lah. We figure out all of these events, we try to build back the chain of events, and then write a report. Okay? So if you have downloaded a VM, try to run through. There's a lot of other events inside here. Was there any call out? All those kind of things. It's all captured inside here that you can play with. All right, so that is challenge 1 completed. So that's about security analysts, right? Understanding what is going on in the endpoint, trying to figure out what is the story you can tell. How did the attacker, trying to rebuild the steps of the attacker. Okay, challenge number 2, we're going to talk about network analysts, right? They are completely different breed. Okay, they are able to understand the flows of the packets. They know how, okay, what is the thing that's supposed to come, right? So let's take a look at this. So let's take a look at the intel first. The threat actor, having gained access to your machine, will exfiltrate files using FTP. Simple, simple. So straight away, you're hunting for FTP connections, correct? Make sense, right? Intel say FTP. Okay, cool. Okay, I remember FTP, Wireshark. Okay. So Wireshark is what you use to capture. You can use NC, you can use T-Shark, what have you. Let's open this up. Jing jing. All right. So it's loading the PCAP that was captured. All right. Ooh, it's quite a big PCAP lah, so must understand this one already 4 years old. Yes. Anytime before lunch. Come on, you can do it. Please don't die.
So Hazwan, while we're waiting, does everyone here know what Wireshark does? Maybe okay, yeah, he's loaded.
Brilliant. Okay, let's do a very quick thing. Let's go to statistics and take a look at the property. How many events do we have? Or how many flows do we have? We have a total of 493658 packets. Okay lah, easy lah, small amount, no problem. Okay, so what did the Intel say? FTP, correct? So Wireshark has this beautiful thing called filters, right? So you can filter for FTP. Let's search for FTP. Okay. Scanning, 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 checking, still scanning, maybe, anytime soon. And lunch. No, yeah, I wish it was lunch. And it says no FTP. Jose Liao, false case, close, finish. No, you don't do that. Okay, if you got a phone with you, right, you go and quickly do a quick Google search. I mean, this is part of the job as a security analyst. You know how to Google very fast. One. What are the different modes that FTP can send files? They got multiple modes. All right. So if you're looking for protocol FTP, nothing. FTP data, nothing. Okay. It means he's not sending it as a file. He's sending it as a stream. That means it's over TCP. Because it doesn't mean the server, the malicious C2 server is listening as an FTP server. Doesn't mean you have to use FTP to send to it, no. Okay, so let's see whether we can hunt for it. So I'm going to hunt for TCP. Okay, so it's going to scan. Scan, 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 scan. Scan, scan some more. Okay. Great, I got a lot of TCP. I don't want HTTP, I don't want all this because I don't think it's relevant. It's definitely going to be HTTP because it's a FTP server. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to filter it even more. I'm going to say, and not TLS, which will take away for me all the HTTP as well. Filter, filter, filter. So this is what you do, no, as a day-to-day job, no. You will get a huge amount of data, and then you have to figure out which one to find. It's literally every day, every ticket is searching for a needle in a haystack. All right? So now we've gotten it smaller and smaller and smaller. All right? So what can I search for that is common across all FTP connection? Anyone can guess? Okay, let's not talk about FTP. Let's talk about in general, any service. Before I can make use of a service, right, I need to do something first. Connect, right? Login, right? Right? So what is the keyword that FTP servers use so that users can log in? Huh? User lah. I have to give the username using the command user. Right? So let's hunt. Frame contains user. Is it contain or contains? How do I spell this? Correct? Yeah, correct lah. No. Is that space? No. There is a typo somewhere. Frame contain user. No. It should run. Why are you not running? Frame. Why sharp? Why you are very buggy, huh? Frame contains user. Quotation, ma? I don't think so. I've never used quotations. Okay, that's new. The Wireshark update itself while I was sleeping. Ding. Aha, brilliant. Then you will see that there's a lot of noise because some protocol also make use of the word user. So what do? You filter it out. And not frame contains user C or something like that. Was it user set? Yeah, user trust. Ta-da. Go. Run, 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 run. You know what would be very funny if I open the wrong PCAP? That has happened before. Voila, and we found user anonymous. Okay, I mean this is a very simple attacker lah. They use anonymous account lah. Normally they don't do this lah. They actually have actual keys. Okay, so let's take a look at it. What exactly is being sent, right? We're gonna right click. We're gonna follow the TCP stream, and then it's gonna load again. Yes, it's a lot of waiting, you know, in cybersecurity. While you wait for the tools to run, right, the attacker already run away already, usually. So it runs. Okay, so we can see exactly what is happening, right? It's sending a file, all right? File called Custodio.txt. This is bad. That's the name of my company. I don't know what they stole from us. All right. Then we can find what exactly was sent in the next one. So it's going to run. It's going to run. And what was the content of Custodio.txt? You get a content of the file. So what we will normally do, right, what we're going to do is show data not as ASCII. Okay, we'll probably show as raw. Okay, or because we know it's already data that's in text form, right, we'll save this, and then we'll save as the name of that file, Custodio.txt, because it's not our evidence, right? So this is what we do. We look at PCAPs, we look at the flow. Sometimes we just look at net flow. We can guess already what's going on, right, whether it's malicious or not, based on how fast, you know, how constant the connection is and how much is being sent through that connection. Okay, so this PCAPs, this is network analyst, right? So this is what a network analyst would do day to day, right? Pretty fun, right? I mean, if you like this, I mean, you can always jump in, huh? So number 3, what is number 3? So, based on what you have done, right? You search for your events, you find this malicious exe, right? Then the Intel tells you there's multiple C2s. So what exactly are you going to do with this exe? That's where you take it, then you pass it to your malware analyst team and say, nah, go and play. Okay? You can give them blind lah, but normally what I would do is, no, I itchy finger, right? I'm not a malware analyst. I see what I can find, right? Help them out a bit. So most of the things, right, what is the most common tools we use? We use binwalk, we use string, and we use good old grep, right? So what am I going to do? So if I open my terminal, is this the correct terminal? Yeah, this is the correct terminal. So if I open the terminal, hello. Oh, no, please don't do this. Okay. And if I go here, city desktop, challenges, 03, ls. Right? I can run strings on it, right? But if I do that, you'll just get a bunch of gibberish, right? So those who have done malware analysis or do any kind of reverse engineering or any kind of work, right? You will quickly learn that most of the time they are packed, right? So what we can use is try to use things like binwalk or an even advanced version of binwalk called Ember. All right. So what it does is it will try to unpack it into its own constituents. Yeah. So those are Intel. So when we say Intel, normally we have a special team called Threat Intelligence. So they'll provide tools. C2 stands for Command and Control. Yeah. So basically, our Threat Intel team says, oh, potentially is from this group, and this group always like to use multiple IP, so multiple C2s. So we want to confirm whether there's any of the known IPs is embedded inside of this malware. So that's what we're doing, right? Or we want to find what is the features they're doing. Right? Sometimes inside the malware, right, you can figure out what are they trying to hunt. They might be looking for certain documents with certain keywords or certain documents with certain metadata. And that's how we do attribution, right? So we're going to run binwalk. So what binwalk does is then I will export the output of binwalk, all right, into a file. So you'll see that is this file called extract_strings.txt. So after I run binwalk, I extract all the strings from the binwalk executable, then I put it inside here. So next thing what I'm going to do is I'm going to hunt, okay, for IP address, right? So I can use grep, but I'm on Windows, so I don't have grep. So the closest thing I can do is select string. Select string, and then I can put in the pattern. And then I can put in the IP address pattern, which is 029 123. Then there's a slash dot. And then again 029 pattern 123 slash dot again, right? And then 029 and then 123. So basically this regex, this is your good old regex, right? And then we go and find dot extract. Okay, so we're going to run. You run, you look for anything that looks like an IP address, and hopefully you'll get certain IP addresses, right? Just continue to run, Here we can see all the IP addresses coming out already. Actually, I can pause it already. So these are the IP addresses that it found. So probably what I'm going to do, I'm going to take all these IP addresses, give to reverse malware analyst team and say, hey, you hunt for this. See what as a function is calling for this. And then you can call the network team, right? The network analyst say, hey, you hunt for this IP address for me. Was there any connection or any PCAP or not for this IP address? And then you start piecing all the things together. So the thing about cybersecurity, right? You're not supposed to know everything, right? But you need to know who to ask to do the thing, right? That's the thing about cybersecurity, okay? Then you can ask the security analyst doing endpoint, hey, you look for events doing a call out to this IP address, right? So this is what the different roles are doing. And it's all about the sum of everything, right? So this is what the malware analyst team would do, right? So that's challenge number 3. Challenge number 4 is my area, endpoint investigation or endpoint forensics. Okay, so my background is in forensics. All right, so this is what I do. So there is an intel. Again, there's intel. The threat actor immediately deletes the file containing data to be extracted. So it already sent the file. It deletes, so you cannot find, right? So how do I identify that there is these files that have been deleted? Anyone can guess? So you see all those fancy files, right? You see MFT, you see J files and things like that. These are file system files. Sounds weird saying a file system file. Okay? So the J file tells me whatever has ever happened to the file system. Creation of file, modification of file, renaming of file, deletion of file. J file stands for journal. Okay? So these are one of the files that we as investigators will hunt for. All right? So that's what I'm going to do now. So I'm going to open my tools. Okay. I'm going to look for Timeline Explorer. I'm going to open Timeline Explorer. And then I'm going to load into it this CSV file that I've already prepared. Right? Normally we have to prepare the data because normally they are in blobs. So we use other tools to extract the data into a human readable form. Okay, so I'm going to click File, I'm going to click Open, and then I'm going to open Desktop, then go Challenges, number 4, and then I'm going to open. Okay, brilliant. Let's go. Again, the file is a lot. The J file is basically the entire history of your file system. Yes, Mr. Roland, what can I do for you? Oh, the CSV file is the extraction of the J file. There's a tool you can use. So we call it, there's tools by Eric Zimmerman. He's with Kroll, he created a lot of tools. So we have tools like MFT command, that you can feed the J file, you can feed the MFT file, SDS files, and then you can create the CSV files, right? So, again, let's start hunting. So what am I going to hunt for? I'm going to hunt for, here, update reasons, right? Rename, new name, close, file create, file create. This is all the history of anything that has ever happened inside of your computer. In terms of file. It can be very large, right? So, here's the question I'm going to ask you. If I'm the attacker, I create a file, I send the file, I delete the file. What is the pattern I'm hunting for? What is the pattern of user reasons I'm hunting for? Anyone has any idea? Oh, my phone. Why is my phone closed? Anyone has any idea? So what I'm going to do is, I'm going to search for very particular update reasons, right? So I know it's a txt file, correct? So let's do that filter first. Extensions, all right? And I'm going to put txt inside, okay? .txt. So it's going to run. So now I filtered out all the files. Okay, I'm going to click find. Dun, dun, dun. Oh wait, I'm supposed to click search option. Yeah, it's filter, mix, yeah, okay, brilliant. All right, so the next thing I'm going to search for is, did I spell extensions wrongly? Oh, it's extension, not extensions. Silly sausage. Okay, so I've now gotten that. Next thing I'm going to do is, I'm going to search for, what is it I'm going to search for? I'm going to look for update reasons. Reasons, right? Create. And then I'm going to find for these events. All right? So you have txt, you have file create. What I'm looking for is create followed by immediate deletion. Right? It makes sense, right? I create, I append data, I delete. So it will be, instead of a normal file structure. So if you open a Word document, right, it will be this entry. Then you work on it, right? Take note, until you press save, everything is in memory. So you will not have an append data event inside of your log. So you can know it's an actual user because it's quite far from each other. All right? So what I'm going to find now is, I'm going to find update reasons. Oh dear, silly. And then I'm going to find delete. And then we go find. Bingo. So we have a file create, we have a data, and then we have immediately deletion. So we can find all these files. So for example, for.txt, right? System.32, 5, 6, 7, 8, right? Because what the attacker is doing is that he's looking for multiple files, write, send, delete. Find another file of interest, write, send, delete. So this is the kind of patterns us as investors will find, right? So what's happening here is that there's a scheduled task, all right? So that means every few minutes it'll run, every few minutes it'll run. So search for files, send, search for files, send. All right? So this is what the forensics investigator might do. So lastly is researcher. So what does the researcher do? Right? A researcher, like me, if I can open it. Oh, no, wrong. This is what I do. All right? So my day-to-day job, right, is I'm a product researcher. So basically whatever I do research, it has to be productized. So what I do is, I understand how the different types of teams are working. And then we try to search for a way. Can I put, oh, this team gives me this data, this team gives me this data, this team gives me data. How do I stitch it? So that when I show it to the bosses, right, let's say a company cannot hack. CEO wants to know, hey, how they get in. I want the whole story. So that's what we do. So we try to find situations like this. So this is basically the scenario that we had. we have a process opening a file, but the process can open multiple files. So which one is the malicious file, right? Then the process spun off another process. This process can spin off other processes legitimately, right? So my job is try to figure out how do I clean all the data to build this chain. And this is what, if we worked on the data, you can find it. So this is actually the attack story of, zoom to fit. Where are you? Where are you? Oh no. Let me reset this thing. So this is actually the entire chain, right? From opening the file, right, to the UAC bypass, to calling down and actually installing the thing. And then this is the part that was actually creating all of those text files and sending it out. So this is basically what I do. But there's different types of research out there, right? You can find vulnerabilities in cars. You can find vulnerabilities in IoT device. You can find vulnerabilities in frameworks, right? In APIs and things like that, right? So that is what you can do, right? There's so many domains, right? So at the end of the day, people will ask, is cybersecurity easy or is it hard? My answer to that is cybersecurity is easy. It's easy. The hard part is finding what you want to do, right? Because each of us have certain things that we like to do, certain things we're good at, right? So do it. Because at the end of the day, it's just a collective effort, right? So don't be afraid, right? If you are doing sysadmin, you're doing a coding, you can jump, do a secure coder, right? You're from network, you're from system, you can jump, network analysis, endpoint analysis. I guarantee you, any sysadmin here knows the Windows system better than me. Because you work with it inside out every day. And you have to do it with a lot of quirks and edge cases, right? You already have the skill set. So don't be scared, just jump. All right, so that's actually the end of my presentation. You all have any questions for me?
Wow, that was really, really insightful, right? Diving deep into his day of a life of like being a SOC analyst. So we have about 30 minutes actually to have some Q&A for this session.
Wait, 30 minutes?
Yeah, actually, yeah. We do have some.
Fast,
This ends around, yeah, we have some time. So no worries. We have actually some questions already posted online. I'm just trying to find it.
I foresee this will break down into another rant again.
No worries. Okay. Anyway, before I go to the questions online, right, I'd like to give everyone that's here an opportunity. Who wants to ask any questions to Hazwan? Anyone? Otherwise, let me get started with the online questions for now. Right, so the first question, Hazwan, right? How do companies usually do log preservation? Since usually we talk about logs being really, really huge in size, are there any tricks that you can share on how we can compress or selectively drop this data storage?
Okay, so what we call this SIEM optimization problem. Okay? So I had to work with a potential client. So when we were talking to them at the start, right, they say, so you ask, what data can you give me to work with? Say, no data. Then I say, okay, can I tap into your network to capture data? Cannot tap into my network. Data diet also cannot. So what you want me to do? I don't know. That's the challenge for you. Find out how to create data. I cannot do investigation. I cannot magic data from the ether and then suddenly I got data. So about data retention, it really is about fine-tuning. You need to know about your threat landscape. You need to know what is the kind of security issues that you will face as an organization. And then you be selective, right? I can say to you, oh, I need 5156, right? Your SIEM engineer will tell you, crazy 5156. For those who don't know what 5156 is, anytime your computer does a connection, a 5156 event turns on. The mere act of turning on Windows machine, you know how many 5156 events there are? Just turning it on, no. And then you browse the web. Habis. You turn on VS Code, so many telemetry go out. Right? So data retention, there's two ways. Generally, what SIM engineers will do is we'll have hot storage, warm storage, and cold storage. Right? Then it depends on your retention. You can have up to, let's say if you work with Chronicle, Google. Their hot storage is 1 year. Google, you got our storage, right? 1 year. Then you move it to warm storage, and then they move it to cold storage. But then again, in my previous line, when I was in SOC, our field engineers had to go down to client almost every month to put in new hard disks. Because there's so much data being generated. And then you get new novel attacks coming out, right? Or then you need to track this new event, habis. So it's really a fine balance. Do you need this data? What is the chances of you getting hit? 1%, 0.001, what is your risk appetite? If you say, never mind, I can use other data to try and patch the hole. Okay, fine, then you don't need to take. That's the kind of, you have to walk it through your threat landscape.
Cool. Wow. Okay. That's awesome. The second question we have from Anonymous Online. Okay, it's going to be this. So, Hazwan, what do you recommend for log searching? Right, as you shared earlier, right, as part of your day-to-day as well, right, apart from log searching and the tools, you also spend a lot of time waiting for the results to come out. Correct. So what do you do in the meantime? Like, do you think about what to do for lunch? Will you share a bit of insights on that?
Always think about lunch. No, it really depends. What do you mean by log searching? Are you trying to do threat hunting? Right? There's a lot of things you can do. Your SIM, your LMS, right, has to do a lot of heavy lifting for you. So it really is up to your SIM engineer. If your SIM engineer doesn't do things properly, he doesn't tune it properly, right? Okay, let's say it very simply. There is this company out there that creates security events for their products. Okay? But there's an issue. Their product stacks have multiple products. Each of them have their own events. Okay? Each of them have their own naming scheme. So the field name for one event doesn't match with another event. Right? So this is where you need to make friends with your SIM engineer, because they can help you with this normalization problem. For me, I love ELK because they have ECS, Elastic Common Schema. And you can write a lot of rules. You can put in Sigma rules into it to hunt. So that's what you can do. Right?
All right. Any further questions for Hazwan? Oh, yes. Sorry.
Okay. So basically, you love to be called as a hacker?
Are we allowed to be called as hackers? Okay, so let's... Oh, Roland ran away.
I didn't ask. Okay. Have you tried to hack college or company servers, or have you tried any weird things in your life?
Have I? Well, you're trying to get me fired, is it? Right.
No,
okay.
Hackers do right.
So here's the thing, right? There's this concept of bug bounty. Okay, let's put it that way. I'm not a red teamer. I cannot find XSS vulnerability even if my life depended on it. Okay? If this was a Saw movie, all I had to do was find a cross-site script vulnerability, I would die. Confirm per shot. Okay, don't bother. I've been a blue teamer from the start. Okay? So if you want to do this, please do it properly. Go through a bug bounty program, all right?
Yeah, hi, thank you. For day one attacks, what is the best security policy?
Day one or day zero?
Zero, okay, zero then.
Day zero, no security. It's called a day zero. So what you want me to do?
But definitely there's some way to stop it, right? Like
day zero is called a day zero because there's no way to stop it.
Okay. What's the role of machine learning in this industry now?
So there's a lot of usage of machine learning, AI, and a lot of things. The idea around using AI to catch day zero is, honestly, it's purely heuristic. Right now, it's purely heuristic. So you need to do a proper baseline. But if you try to do heuristics on the company I work for, habis. Correct, habis, You know, my own computer, right, deletes half of my files that I ever created there because of my work. But it's purely heuristics. But then again, any data scientist here, data engineer here, I think you can jump into this conversation. It's only as good as the data and how big of the data set you can do, right? How long you want to train your heuristics? 1 year, 2 years, 3 years? No, not that long. What? If you are working in a company, you're running on project basis. Every project flow different already. Then how? Everything trigger lah. So day zero, right? The thing about day zero is you need people who are proactive. Here's the thing. A lot of the day zeros out there, right? There's already telltale signs. So if you have someone who is very curious, right? They go to forums and then they read out, hey, I always get this bug error on my computer. Then you look, funny leh. Then you hunt for it. Kena not on my computer. Because it's these small little signs that tells you that something is going on. So a lot of the day zeros were caught because of this kind of things.
Do we have any other questions for Hazwan? Oh, yes.
Hi. So most of the demos are from the logs and the events created locally or on-prem, I can say, but everything has moved to cloud. So where does the network analyst, malware analyst can come in? Because
you still use the cloud. Okay, for example, if you go through the cloud, let's say AWS. AWS, you can set up the exact same infrastructure of on-prem in the cloud, right? You can set up things, right? You have CloudTrail. You can see all the auditing, what's going on. You can still have endpoint protection inside of your cloud-based VMs. It's still going to push to the SIEM. The thing is, right, you cannot think of cloud as a separate entity. Once you do that, habis, right? Whatever you do on-prem, you apply on cloud as best as you can. You can have firewalls on the cloud also. No one is telling you cannot put a firewall. No one's not telling you cannot put a WAF, right? Nobody is saying you cannot put an application firewall there. All this is still generating things, right? So the only difference is, where am I pulling this data from? From prem? Oh, it's a VM. Okay lah, I have a secure channel, go in, I put a VM. It's the same thing. The moment you think it's different, right, habis, that's it. Game over. Anything else?
I do have a question for you actually, Hazwan. That's from me, right? So, you know, I think about 0 days is something that is very hard to mitigate against, right? So I'd like to hear from your experience, you know, tell us about a time where your team was not able to maybe detect and mitigate against a 0 day, and how do you guys manage that?
So far, luckily enough, none of our clients found 0 day, but internally we did find a few lah. Those of you doing security, you can test this out. There is a scenario where if you change certain processes together, after the second or third chain, it becomes invisible. It becomes completely invisible to the logging mechanism. That means the logging mechanism will see this process calling this process calling this process, afterwards, nothing. We thought it was a fluke, we thought it was something weird on our range. So we ran it multiple times, we realized, oh shit, this one problem. So we wrote up, we sent a ticket up to Microsoft to figure out what's going on. One of the other issues is that it's all about finding quirks. So one of the common rules, right, that you should always have inside of your SIEM is to look for outlier. An event that happens one time only. Or events that only happen 2 times, 3 times. So that's how you catch them. Right? I mean, this is a very blunt rule, lah, but it's essentially doing heuristics, lah, right? You're looking for outlier, right? If this thing happened one time, you flag it, look, hey, it's weird, maybe do a full investigation. It might be nothing, it might be a nothing burger, might be a misconfiguration, or it might actually be a symptom of a zero day.
Wow, that's awesome, thank you. All right, so any final questions for Hazwan? Okay, there's a question online I was just told. Let me just take a look at that. All right, so the next question from Anonymous. A lot of anonymous questions today online, but no worries. How do you, sorry, excuse me on that. How do these principles apply to a serverless environment? For example, using ECS, using Lambda, using Cloud Run?
Wow, serverless. Well, luckily so far my client haven't used serverless. But serverless, where is Roland? Roland should be able to answer this. Where is he? He's not here.
Roland, calling you, paging you in the house?
For those of you running like serverless and things like that, right? There's still logging available, right? Okay, example, if you're using ECS, you're using Lambda events, right? Your CloudTrail will tell you everything already. Make sure you turn on CloudTrail first, You don't turn on CloudTrail, then I cannot help you already, again, right? Your CloudTrail will tell you what process called this ECS to be started, what were the parameters that was sent to this Lambda to run, and what time it ends, right? And the CloudTrail, right, can even tell you, if you know how to read it, it can even tell you whether an account has been compromised. For example, you have an account that is higher privilege than another account, right? So if you manage, so what they like to do is, they'll take over this account, then they will, in ECS, right, you can do this thing called, you can delegate your rights, to a lower grade account. So if they're trying to do this to try and hide, right, if you look at the CloudTrail properly, you actually read through the logs properly, right, you can hunt for this. So even if it's serverless doesn't mean no logs, there's still logs. It's whether you want to turn it on and you're willing to pay the storage of the logs. And then whether you have the manpower who knows how to pass these logs.
Thank you. I hope that answers the question, whoever will ask that. All right, so if there are no further questions, which I believe that's almost the case, right? No other further questions. We'd like to please give a round of applause to Hazwan once again for the really insightful demos and hands-on, really in a day in the life of like a security analyst, right? All right, so we also just had 2 very good talks on security. Just wanted to call out that on the Discord, there's actually a CyberSec channel. If you all like to continue the conversations